I'm going to be brutally honest with you. My mission with this video is to take your soul so that I can filter out anybody who isn't actually willing to put in the work that it takes to become an entrepreneur, to become your own boss. That said, the first brutal truth that I have learned from my entrepreneurial journey is that becoming your own boss is a myth. You will never, ever be your own boss. Why is that? The reason why you will never become your own boss is because entrepreneurship is based on transactions. What is a transaction? Generally speaking, in the context of entrepreneurship, a transaction is when somebody gives you money in exchange for a product or service. The caveat is that they're not going to give you their money unless you have a product or service that they are interested in. In other words, if you go through your entrepreneurial journey, creating the product that you want to create, creating the videos that you want to create, or offering the services that you want to provide, you are not going to make any money unless the thing that you want to create or provide aligns with the thing that they want to consume. In other words, your clientele, your customer base, your audience, those are your bosses. I always thought that I would get big on YouTube and I would be able to post whatever I want. And I was hit with the rude awakening that that is simply not the case. Well, to be fair, I can post whatever I want, but when that AdSense check looks a little bit different, I have to accept the reality that it's because I refuse to cater to what the audience wants to see. That is the reality of entrepreneurship. You are trading one boss for tens or hundreds, or in my case, thousands of bosses. Now, on the flip side of this, while it is true that you have to please many more people than just that one boss that you have at your 9 to 5, you do get the opportunity to, first of all, choose which bosses you want to serve. So you get to decide which industry you're going to go into. But also, whenever you have bosses that you feel aren't worth the hassle, you get the opportunity to fire your bosses. So for example, if there's a subset of my audience that I no longer want to serve, I can stop making content for that audience and I can let them fall away into oblivion. Because I have other bosses, like you, for example, that I can continue to serve. Even though I might see a decrease in my income from doing that, I still have some degree of choice. I have the option to serve a subset of my bosses that align with who I want to be and what I want to create during that chapter of my life. This is not a luxury that you have when you work a 9 to 5. But the idea that you're going to become your own boss and just live life completely on your own terms is erroneous. Do not start a business thinking that you will be able to be your own boss. Now, the next brutal truth that I have learned from entrepreneurship is that there is no finish line. When I dropped out of college, I did it under the premise that I would be able to start some sort of business and I would be able to accumulate a large enough audience or clientele or just accumulate enough revenue to be able to quit or essentially retire at a young age. And here's the paradox of that premise. Whenever you're operating based on the finish line mentality, what you have to understand is that you can achieve that. You can build a business that you can sell for tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars, and you will be good. You never have to work again a day in your life. The problem is that in order to build a business like that, you have to be the type of person who is fundamentally wired to want to work. In other words, you have to be a type A personality. You have to be a David Goggins, Alex Hormozi, Kobe Bryant type of personality. You have to be the type of person who loves the grind, who loves the game beyond the prize. And if you have the finish line mentality, if you're doing it under the premise that you are just going to be able to get the prize and live your life in complete freedom and bliss from there on after, you're in for a rude awakening because you're not going to want to put in that extra work to see to it that you achieve that result. because you don't have the character traits that are necessary to achieve that result. So in other words, if you're not the type of person who just loves business, who loves the grind, who loves to work, then you're never going to build the type of business that allows you to not have to work anymore. It's a paradox that I've yet to solve, and what I've learned is I just have to love the grind. That is pretty much all there is to it. I have trained myself to stop thinking in terms of a finish line because it simply doesn't exist. Now, the next brutal truth about entrepreneurship that I have learned from my personal journey is that work-life balance doesn't exist. Work-life balance does not exist. Whenever I see somebody post something on YouTube about not getting enough sleep because they're dedicated to the grind, a lot of times I'll see various comments under that video or community post or wherever else saying that that is not a healthy mindset to have. And I agree, it's not a healthy mindset to have. Sleep deprivation is no joke, nor is social deprivation. But here's the reality of entrepreneurship. There are three things that you have to find the optimal balance for. There's your work, there's your sleep, and there's your social life, including but not limited to your hobbies and attending social events, engagements, etc. Pick two. Pick two of those. If you plan on getting 8 hours of sleep a night and having a healthy, thriving social life where you're seeing your friends and family every day or every other day or anything like that, you are not going to be very successful. I am sorry to tell you, I'm sorry to inform you that you are not going to be very successful. That is simply not how it works. If you want to receive disproportionate returns, you have to put in a disproportionate amount of effort, and that's going to involve a disproportionate amount of sacrifice. This is what people don't want to ascribe to. People don't want to ascribe success to sacrifice, but there is literally a direct correlation. When you sacrifice sleep, which I've definitely had to do for certain chapters and seasons of my entrepreneurial journey, or when you sacrifice a social life, which I am still in that season to this day, then that's pretty much the only way you're going to get the results that you want. And the coldest part is that sometimes you make the sacrifices and you still don't get the results. Okay, sometimes you get 4 hours of sleep a night for 2 weeks straight and you still don't get the results. Sometimes you deprive yourself of socializing and you still don't get the results. And you have to keep going. You still have to keep going. That is a brutal truth of entrepreneurship that most people do not want to accept, which is why most people do not pursue an entrepreneurial path. Now, the next brutal truth that I've learned about entrepreneurship is that you will fail more than you succeed. On the topic of failure, on the topic of not achieving the goal that you've set out to achieve, you're going to fail more than you succeed. And to prove this to you, what I want you to do is I want you to go to my channel right now, open up a different tab or swipe my video down into the bottom corner or whatever. I want you to go to my channel and I want you to sort my videos by most popular. And what I want you to do is I want you to look at my top 10 to 15 videos, maybe even top 20 videos. Look at my top 20 videos that you see, my most viewed videos. Those videos got me the majority of my subscribers. The top 20 videos on my channel got me the majority of the 100,000 plus subscribers that you see right now. What you'll also notice is that I have 1,000 plus videos on my channel, which means that at least 980 of my videos have flopped. Maybe this one included, I don't know. 980 of my videos have flopped compared to those videos. 980. That means I have failed way more than I've succeeded. The average video that I post is not going to do great numbers. The average video. Again, this video might be part of that group, that 980, or maybe it might be part of that top 20. I don't know. I can predict certain outcomes, but sometimes my predictions are wrong. All I can do is show up, talk to this camera, market it in the best possible way that I know how to, and I don't want to say hope for the best, but give it the opportunity to perform the way that it will. And that's really all there is to it. I know going into it that there is a very, very realistic possibility that my video might not do numbers. It might not move the needle much, if at all. In fact, some of my videos have lost me subscribers. But until you post those 1,000 videos, you won't know which 20 videos are actually going to move the needle. And in the same way, your failures are simply stepping stones to your successes. And I know it sounds very cliche, but believe me when I tell you that pretty much any entrepreneur you see has many more failures under their belt than they do successes. It's just that the few successes that they have outshine the many, many failures that they have.